sir.
Let's start. Last we discussed about what? So I think today we'll discuss the channel capacity, is it? Or it is started? Okay. So we started the channel coding theory. Yesterday, I think the first slide I already discussed, but let's start from the beginning. So, the last in the channel there, previously we have seen the how should be the channel capacity or what is the basically channel is there. So basically here we'll discuss about the channel coding theory and the channel coding theory. Why the channel coding theory is different? Because in the source coding we have seen we remove some redundant data from the message. In the channel coding theorem, we will add some redundant data with the your source coding data. Actually, with your whatever the data is coming inside the channel, some redundant bit will be added in that. Okay. So for normally for noisy channel, and generally the noisy channel is your wireless communication channel, and error probability of error is around 10 to the minus 1, and this is very high value, and the meaning of 10 to the minus 1 is there is a 1 bit of error among the 10 bits. That means if we say 10 bits, among the 10 bits there is a possibility of error in 1 bit, and normally that value is not acceptable. So normally for any communication system, we are looking for the probability of error should be very low, and it should be at least 10 to the minus 6 below of 10 to the minus 6. Okay. So that value, the probability of error can be achieved to the 10 to the minus 6 by using the channel coding. Okay. So under channel coding, designing goal of the channel coding is to increase the resistance of the digital communication system to channel noise. Okay. So in the channel coding, as I told already, the channel coding consists of mapping of incoming data sequence in an input sequence and inverse mapping of the channel output sequence into the output data sequence in such a way that overall effect of channel noise on the system is minimized. Okay. So now, so that means the first from mapping, this is called the channel encoder. So in the channel encoder, what we are doing? We are adding some redundant bit with the input data sequence, and that's why it is channel encoder. This is the channel encoder is basically is recorded at the transmitter side, and the reverse mapping, which is normally called as the channel decoder, it is recorded at the receiver side. So basically, this is the another version of the block diagram of digital communication system. So in this, we are going to concentrate these three blocks, basically the channel decoder, the encoder, channel decoder, and the channel. Okay, discrete memoryless channel. So we will discuss about it. So the both channel encoder and decoder is totally controlled by the designer. So the designer has the full control to design the encoder or decoder. So whatever the encoding system we are using at the transmitter, reverse of the encoding should be at the receiver side for the decoder, channel decoder. Otherwise, if two different encoding and decoding if we use, then it will be very difficult and definitely we will not be able to decode the data at the receiver if both are not compatible to each other. Okay, and basically the decoder what will do? Basically, it will decode the data and it will reconstruct the actual message from there. So there are different type of block coding is there. That block coding. Yes. So basically, one coding theory is the example of one coding theory is the block codes. In the block codes, what we do? We divided the whole message into the k bits long, and each k bit block is mapped into a n bit block, where n is greater than k. So that means the number of redundant bit we are adding, that is n minus k, and there is a ratio k by n is called the chord on the code rate, and the code rate is the given by this equation. And normally, if you look at that equation 55, so generally the R value should be less than equal to 1. So it cannot be more than the unit. Okay. So now the definitely there is an important question is there. And the question is that does the channel coding skill exist such that the probability that a message bit will be in error is less than any positive number epsilon, and that is as small as we want to it, and yet the channel coding skill is efficient in that the code rate need to be too small. So basically, this question can be answered by using the Shannon's second theorem in terms of channel capacity. So, if we suppose that discrete memoryless source is there, and the source alphabet is equal to S, and the corresponding entropy is the H of S bit per source symbol. Okay, and the source emit symbols on in every TS second. So basically, the, the time is just we are considering the time right now. Before whatever we discussed, there was a no concept of time. So now onwards, the time will be considered, and the time is very important for any data or channel capacity, because whatever the data we talk about the rate, how fast the data is transmitted to the channel. Okay, so basically the source and the source emitting the symbol on every TS second. So in every TS second, the source is emitting a symbols, and what should be the average information rate of the source? The average information of the source is h of s by ts bits per second. Okay, so now if the decoder delivered decoded symbols to the destination and source alphabet S at the same source rate, and the symbols vary ts second every ts second. So discrete memoryless channel has a channel capacity equal to C bit per use of channel. That means if we want to calculate what should be the capacity of the channel, and the capacity is given by C, and it is indicating the how many bits we are transmitting per use of channel. Okay. So basically, what should be the value of T? Or C, sorry. What should be the value of C? Channel capability, or so the channel capacity. So basically, the the channel is capable of being used in every TS second. Already I told about this. And the channel capacity per unit time equal to C by TC. So that is the capacity of the channel, and this is the information rate that we are sending. So that means for any reliable communication, the sending data rate, it should be less than equal to channel capacity. So that's why by the using the Shannon second theorem, we can write this equation, and that is h of s by ts is less than equal to c by tc. Okay, and this value c by ts, it's called the critical rate of the channel. Okay, so now is there any possibility of the reverse thing? That means h of s by ts is greater than equal to c by ts. So if it is happened, that means the incoming data rate is more than the channel capacity. In that case, what will happen? There will be a losses of information, and there will be a high probability of error. Okay, and in that case also, it is very difficult to reconstruct the actual message if that is the scenario. Okay. Okay. So now consider a discrete memoryless source that emits equal likely binary symbols 0 and 1. That means in that case we are considering two or one scenario, and that is your binary symmetric channel. So in the binary symmetric channel, two bits will be is there, one is 0, another is 1, and it is transmitting every ts second. So the information rate of the source will be 1 by ts bits per second. The source sequence is applied to a channel encoder with a code rate r. Okay, and if the channel encoder produces a symbol on each PC second, the transmission rate will be symbols transmission rate will be 1 by TC. So from there, by using these two equations, okay, firstly, this is the incoming data rate, and if we use the previous equation, this equation 56. So from there we get that this relation, that 1 by ts should be less than equal to c by tc, is needs to be satisfied in the channel coding theory. So, and one thing is that In the channel coding theorem, doesn't say what should be the means which code is good, which code is bad. It is just talk about the how the incoming data rate is related with the capacity of channel rate along with the channel rate. So depending on the which type of encoder and decoder we use, we'll get the good code or bad code. Okay. So definitely now if we want to find out, we have that relation, and if we want to find out the rate, and the code rate of the channel encoder will be your R equal to PC by PS. Okay. And that means we can say that using the previous equation, this equation PC by PS is the channel rate. So that means R should be less than equal to C. So basically that we got from there. Okay. So this is for the existence of a code with code rate less than or equal to the channel capacity C. In this case, the arbitrary low probability of error can be achieved. Okay. So now, if we extend the random variable, that channel coding theorem for the random variable, and basically this is for your differential entropy mutual information for the continuous random symbols. Okay. So in this, that means we are going to find out whatever the discussion we do earlier. That thing is the totally in the discrete sources is there, everything is discrete. If there is a continuous random variable is there, so how to extend the previous discussion that we discuss over here. Okay. So now if we want to consider two random variables, is the continuous random variable x with the probability density function h of x, f of x. In that case, the entropy can be calculated using this equation. So using that equation, we can calculate what is the entropy for a continuous random signal. So basically, the h of x is referred as the differential entropy of x. Although h of x is useful mathematical quantities to know, it is not in any sense of measure randomness of s. Okay, x. So by viewing the continuous random variable x as limit from the discrete random variable that assume value xk equal to k into delta x. So that means what we are doing over here, the continuous random variable we are making it as a discrete value. Okay, and if we assume this relation is there, x of k equal to p of delta x, where k equal to 0 to 0 plus minus 1 plus minus 2 to infinity, and delta x is approximately tends to 0. In that case, we can write h of x equal to limit delta x tends to 0 summation of k equal to minus infinity to infinity and that value. So now if we do some mathematics over here, we'll get this equation. Okay, and finally we'll get this expression. This expression we'll get. So now if we look at this left hand side and right hand side of the equation for 61, so that means there is some differences is there, and the differences is that limit x tends to 0, delta x tends to 0, log to this delta x. So that is the some error is there, And the total, basically, what is the probability density function is defined? It is defined as the how much area cover under the curve of the probability density function, and that is normally if you do that, then it will give us the unity value. That means if we the limit of delta x is approximately so this equation, the probability density function is we are getting from here this value. This is the area cover under a probability density function. So this term will be 1. So that's why we are getting the this term equal to this, and already this term is defined as the h of x. Okay. So now if the limit
Sir, how are we getting equation
delta goes to 0, this equation
60, equation 60, sir?
okay, equation 60 is C. In this equation 60, what we are doing, so there are two terms is there. Okay. So basically, that mathematics is equal delta x is there. Basically, whenever the delta is there, that means it is there. Delta x indicate the your partial derivative. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So now if we use the partial derivative term basically, so you will get these terms, and if or do one thing, you try to get it, and if you not able to get it, let me know. I will do all the step I jam over here. Okay. Basically the partial derivative, if you do the partial derivative over there, you will get that expression. Okay, just try it by yourself. And if you do not get that equation 60, then I will again explain because we need to do some equation step is jump over here. So I need to do some intermediate step and so that we can get that value. Okay.
We need to differentiate that log function with respect to delta x.
Okay, what is the differential, partial differential of log x?
1 by x.
1 by x. So now if there are two terms is there, okay. So in that case, how you will do? Tell me.
First differentiate with respect to xk and then.
So you just take two function, okay. One is your this term.
Sir, they have just split the log2 function there.
Log2 function is there.
They have just split it, like we can write log2 1 by fx plus log2 1 by delta x. So log2 1 by delta x will be minus log2 x. That's only.
Okay, just a minute. Yeah, that one log, yeah, okay. Basically, log 2 base 1 by xy can be written equal to log 1 by x plus 1 by y. Log of these terms, log 2 base f of x xk into delta x. That is nothing else than we can consider log 2 base 1 by this is x, this is y. So log 1 by x y, that can be written again log 1 by x plus log 1 by y. And log 1 by y equal to minus of this term. It's clear, yes. So now it is clear as we told.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the same, this right hand side, basically these four terms, first terms, it can be written as the equivalent to this. That as I told about the partial derivative over there. So integration. So summation is there. So summation can be converted into the integration terms. Yes or no? From these terms, can we write these terms?
So first we went to discrete and then we went to back to integration. Why we did?
Because the reason is first we are discretizing this thing because when we are finding out the reason is that how we are finding if there is because normally in the discrete when a analog continuous signal is there when you make it discretize there will be a little bit of error. Yes or no? It's
Yes.
normally called the quantization error if we say. So that means some error will be there. And here what we are doing, we are finding how much error is there. So normally in general, if we consider a continuous signal, that entropy of a continuous random variable h of x, it should be if you do this at the end, means when it is reached to the receiver, you should get the same value and the discretization is required. The reason is that we cannot send a continuous random variable to a channel. Okay, but it is again the thing is that the source is as a continuous random generating a continuous random data. You are getting this point.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So now, when a source is generating a continuous signal at the receiver and definitely in the channel, what will happen? It will discretize and then will be sent to the channel in the digital communication. So when it will reach to the receiver, that time what we have to do? We have to calculate how much error is there, and basically this term in this intermediate term, this is nothing is the probability area covered under the probability density function. So normally the definition of the probability density function is that total area covered by the probability density function is unit. That means 1. So now if we put the value is 1, so what we will get? Limit x tends to 0, delta x tends to 0, log 2 delta x. That terms we got and definitely this term is equal to h of x. Okay. So that means we are getting some error over there, which is not exactly same as the whatever the input data. It's clear.
Yes, sir.
So now normally these terms it will tends to 0 as delta x approach to 0. Yes or no? Or delta if the delta is approach to 0, what will happen?
Minus infinity.
Minus infinity. So that means what is the meaning of that? Tell me.
All information is lost.
All information loss. So that means whatever the entropy is there, the entropy of the continuous random variable is infinitely large. So whatever the value is got, the value is very large when delta x is tends to 0. Okay. So the concept is true. Random variable for the random variables we assume a value anywhere in the interval minus infinity to infinity. So it means whatever the value of h of x, it will be within the range of minus infinity to infinity. Because we have seen if delta is x is tends to 0, this log 2 base x is tends to infinity. Okay, so that means this term is infinity. So what should be the value of h of x? That means h of x value, that is entropy of a continuous random variable, which is minus infinity to plus infinity within that range. Is that clear? So that means we are calculating when we talk about the normal entropy for a discrete memoryless source, we have seen the entropy was the finite. It will provide the finite value. But in the continuous random variable x, when you are calculating the entropy value have a range of minus infinity to plus infinity. Okay, as this term is tends to 0 depending on this term. Okay, so how to avoid that?
So it
Now,
means we should not use continuous signal as our source signal.
normally the continuous signal is not used that much. That's why we discretize that continuous signal, because if you have to find out in the continuous signal, what is the definition of a continuous signal? It has an infinite number of value amplitude. In the amplitude axis, is y-axis, there is an infinite number of values. For a digital or discrete signal, it is mentioned that it has a finite number of values. Okay, suppose f of x equal to x. It is a continuous function. F of x equal to x, it is a continuous function or not?
Yes, sir.
So in the continuous function, there is an infinite number of values of f of x. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Because since it is a continuous, if you keep a little fraction of value of delta x, that is say 0.001, there also is some value. So that means if we draw the delta x value, f of x equal to x star, there is a continuous line. That means there is a no end. Number of amplitude is infinity. Now, if we discretize that value, so what should be the discretization equation for that? H of nx. So nx means n, and there is n. That means there is a finite term is coming into that scenario. Okay. So basically to avoid the problem associated with this term, what we can do? Anyone? So basically we have seen the entropy value for a continuous random variable, that is minus infinity to infinity. And to avoid this term, what we can do? We can do the thing by taking the differential entropy. So now if we consider if we adopt h of x as a differential entropy, then we can avoid this term. Okay. So basically, this is if there is a continuous random vector is there. When the source is there, some vector is there. In that case, what should be the entropy, differential entropy, and the differential entropy will be this. This same equation, instead of normal variable x, we consider a vector quantity x. Okay. So now just take examples of uniform distribution. So in the uniform distribution, this is the PDF function of a uniform distribution x. Okay, what is that? F of x, this is equal to 1 by a and 0. If 0 is x is belongs to 0 to a. So this is the random probability density function for a random variable x. Now if we apply this value into the previous equation, that is in this equation, what we will get? We will get that term. Okay? H of x, integration of 0 to a 1 by a log of a dx. And this is equivalent to here log of A. Yes or no? In this equation, f of x equal to when the f of x for uniform distribution when there 0 to a, f of x is there and that value is equal to 1 by a, and for the remaining thing it is 0. So now if we replace the value, the uniform, apply this formula for uniform distribution, we will get that expression, and that expression equal to this. Yes or no? So 1 by a is a constant term, log a also a constant term. So integration of 0 to a into dx, it is equal to a. This a means integration of dx 0 to a, it will give us a. This a and this a will be cancelled, so log a will be there. Hello. Wait. Okay, I have a meeting, so please call me after 30 minutes. Okay. Okay. So that means from there, and normally, what should be the value of log a? If a is less than 1,
Negative.
it will be the negative. That's why it is written the log a is less than 0 for a less than 1. So unlike a discrete random variable, differential entropy of a continuous random variable can assume as a negative value. Yes or no? When you discuss about your entropy for a discrete source, we have seen it is always provided as a positive value. But when you looking at this equation, say for a continuous variables and consider that a is less than 1, in that case we have seen the differential entropy of a continuous random variable can be negative value. Okay. Okay. So now if we extend the definition of the continuous distribution considering a continuous random variable x and y whose respective probability density function are defined by f of x, f y, sorry, that will be x, y. So what should be that value? Okay, that is correct. The variable is x. So basically, the sample argument we are considering x, and two variable is there, two random variables x and y. So corresponding probability density function is this and this. Okay. Previously we have considered only one random variable function. So now we are extending that equation for two random variables. So now if we compare with the previous the differential entropy for two different sources x and y for the discrete memoryless source, we will get that expression similar to the same equation 12. Do you remember that expression? Differential entropy. Previously, I discussed about that in the second or third class that d of x double slash y that's equal to summation of x into log of these terms. Okay, if you recall it, then you will easily I am using the same relative entropy or differential entropy for discrete value for the random variables x and y. Same relation we are using. So we will get basically if we use the same formula, we will get that relation. So basically in this expression, f of s, this term is the reference point or reference distribution. So basically when we finding a relative value, there must be a relative or a reference point, and the reference point is equal to this value. In that case, when there is a reference value only, then we can find out the relative value. Okay. So fundamental properties, using the fundamental property in equation 13. What was the equation? Do you remember? So basically from that equation we will get this relation. E of yf, this should be greater than or equal to 0. Okay. So now combining these two equations, what we can write? This term is less than or equal to this term. See, then now we are combining these two terms. Can I write this relation? Yes or no? Basically, what I am doing, just log 2 base fyx, fx. I am this means dividing into two parts, and after that we are arranging this thing, and finally we will get this. Okay. So basically, the left hand side, it is nothing less than the entropy of y. For the continuous function, if we look at this expression, so here x is there. When the probability density function for y, then the entropy will be y. So now if we do this equation, the left hand side, it is equivalent to entropy of y. This is less than that, this is value. Okay. Any doubt? Okay, no doubt. So now for this is the relative entropy for expression for the relative entropy of a continuous distribution. Okay, so previously we have seen the one, we have considered one example. This is the uniform distribution. Now consider another example, which is the Gaussian distribution.
Sir, in equation 66, sir, last.
Yes.
So
Okay.
this f(x) of x, no, sir, instead of f
F of
x of x means subscript should be x.
okay, yes, it is x. Just a minute, just a okay, do one thing. Just combining these two relation and check this is true or not. Maybe this position is changed or not. Let me check on notebook.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
That's okay. And basically, okay, there will be a f of x. Okay, there will be f of x. It will be the f of x. Okay. So when I will send that thing, I will make it. So now consider examples for using the Gaussian distribution. That means two random variable x and y is there, and they are following the Gaussian distribution. So what is the property of the Gaussian distribution? Anyone? Do you remember what should be the property of the Gaussian distribution? A probability density. Okay. let's consider two terms for random variable. Common mean is mu and variance is sigma square. Two random variable x and y is there and have a common mean of mu and variance is sigma square. So the probability distribution function of the variable x will be this. Okay. Now if we replace that terms in the previous equation, means in this equation, what should be the value of h of y? And one thing is that this is the exponential term is there. So that exponential term is when you take the log. So it is basically the natural logarithm. So now we have to convert from the 2 to log base 2 to log base e. Okay. So if you do that, we'll get that expression. Are you getting my point or not? In this expression, what is there? Log 2 base. Now we have to replace that thing by the log base of e. So h of y will be this. It is coming or not? Check. Put that f x is this value in equation this. Put over here. And check that we are getting equation 68 or not. Is it coming or not? Okay. So now, as we know, the characteristics is like probability density summation integration, but total area covered by a probability density function equal to 1. So that term will be 1, and the variance, normally calculate the variance using this expression, and that is equal to sigma square. Okay. Now that means if we replace these two terms over here, we get the expression h of y is less than equal to 1 by 2 of 2 base 2 pi e sigma square. We check that getting these terms or not. Hello, yes. Are you getting this? कोई कर रहा है और नहीं कर रहा है? Okay. So now basically if we use these two terms in equation 68, we will get that expression. You can check it. If it's not come, then let me know. So similarly, we can find out that probability Gaussian distribution variable A, the differential entropy for that equal to this. Since both are same. So that means if we combine these two terms, it can be written, and one thing is that here we are using the less than equal to, where we are using the equal sign over here. Okay.
So we are getting the previous equation. Can you explain these two again, sir?
Please, you are not getting this previous equation.
No, sir. That equation which you said to verify, I'm getting, sir. These two equation, what you said once again, sir.
So, you see, these terms and this term, it will place over here. Okay, so basically in this equation, so this is the derivative of x with respect to dx. Okay, so how many x function is there? This is on x function, this is on y function. So this is your constant term, this is also constant term. Okay, so that means we can say this is multiplication of derivative of integration of x y dx. A not x y, two terms is there. So in that case, how to do this integration? F1 x into f integration of f1 x into f2 x dx. How to do this integration?
Product.
Product of two integration is there. So that formula you have to use, and if you use that, you will get that expression. Are you getting it or not?
No, sir.
You are not getting that. How these values coming from here?
68 understood, sir.
68 is understood. Now in the 68, if we replace these two terms, so first do one thing, just as I told, integration of f of x, f1 x into f2 x into dx. So two term multiplication is there, you do the integration.
So we have to use that below two equation, means we have to assume that values.
That term, you have to assume these two terms. Means you just in the next step expand that equation by considering two functions. One function f1x, second function is f2x with respect to dx. Okay, so now expand that equation right hand side of 68. You will get something, and one thing is that if you find terms of these, suppose when you expanding this, and there is a integration of minus infinity to infinity fy dx dx, if you find that term, put 1 over there, and if you find this term, put 2 there, with sigma square there. And simple thing is that you need not to do anything over there. You check, see. So this is the two terms. First term is there, second term is there. Okay. So that your integration of two terms is not required. So now if we compare with this term, okay, let me write on over here minus log 2 e integration minus infinity plus infinity f y x into x minus e square x square x minus dx Actually, can you see that notebook? Yes. Can you see this?
It is showing as a subset, means not on the main screen.
Okay, not in the main screen. Okay, then I have to
On
stop.
that subject, and it will become in the main screen.
Okay. Just there are two terms is there. So just segregate them. Separate them two terms. Okay. Let me show you. Okay, is that PPT visible?
No, sir.
Okay. So basically, easily we will find that equation. Okay. Just try, and there is nothing else. Next day I will continue. Okay. Let me finish. May I take 1 or 2 minutes of yours? Okay. Then next day I will discuss that thing. I will continue from here in the next class. Okay.
Okay, sir.
And you have any doubt or not? Is there any doubt?
So that last two terms, how they came.
Means the equation 68. There is a doubt in equation 68, is it?
After that, there were two integration. You said f by x dx. You said, acha, that is probability distribution, so that is equal to 1.
One. That is the definition of the probability density function. The area cover under the probability density function is equal to 1.
And that second equation x
Second term, this is the expression for your variance. When there is a random variable is there with the mean, then we can find out what should be the value of the variance. So probability density function is in any random variable. What is the expression for your variance? You check that equation. So suppose any random probability distribution function you have, can you find out what is the variance of that function? Variance of a function equal to f of, suppose if you want to find out the variable of a function f of x, and the f of x has a mean mu. That means you can write integration of minus infinity to infinity f of x into x minus mu whole square dx. That is equal to variance. That is the definition of the variance. You are getting my point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Didn't need that.
So that means whatever the after the equation 68, the two equation is written, that is nothing else than the property of the your probability density function and variance. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, then